Vance Zahorski, welcome to the Witness Business Podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Stoked to be here, fellas.
So, one thing we tend to lead off with, just as sort of an icebreaker question, get the mind moving in the right direction here. Would you consider the worst job you've ever had, and maybe how did that play into the success you've seen as an entrepreneur today?
Mortgages was by far the worst job I've ever had.
Like mortgage lender?
Correct. Because so many deals, all the deals I worked on had to go through underwriting, a processor, all of these other people. So if somebody's not doing their job on all the effort that you've put in, you could lose the deal due to no fault of your own. I like being in control, and that job I felt handcuffed every day I went to work because I couldn't just rely on my work ethic and following crossing T's, dotting I's. So that was the worst.
You're speaking to two people who love control, so I can 100% relate to that. If it's within my power, I'm going to execute it.
Yes.
So you were on Shark Tank for your product or your business line, Cutterz. So I want to we'll get into sort of the details of how fun it was to be on Shark Tank and how that changed the trajectory of your business a little later on. But to start, can you just take me back to maybe day one of your fishing, or you're sitting in a room or wherever you were at the time, and this idea sparks? What sparked the idea? And then maybe tell us, how did you develop that idea into something that ultimately led into what it is today?
And one other thing, just real quick, I would love it if you would talk about, since we're on a mainly audio medium, if you could physically describe the product, how cool this thing is too, as you kind of talk about it, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So it's tough sharing this story because everybody hears the same story, the aha moment, the light bulb went off in your head. And that's truly where a lot of these businesses start off, is there's like a moment in time. Oh, that happened for me. Grew up fishing since I was 4. Fast forward to, 10, 11, 12 years ago. I'm standing on a beach in Pensacola, Florida, shark fishing, catch a shark, reel it in. It's not a big shark. So when I got it onto the sand, it was flopping around all over, got tangled up in my fishing line. I'm a big proponent on catch and release. So I'm like, crap, this is a mess. I'm using this heavy braided fishing line, which is hard to cut. Ran up to my tackle box to grab my fillet knife, which I was using to cut my bait. And when I ran up to my tackle box, the knife wasn't on top of the tackle box. It had fallen in the sand. And I must have stepped on the handle at one point because the blade was kind of sticking up. And I stepped on it and severed my pinky toe, almost cut it off. And at that moment, literally, I'm like, why am I running to get a giant fillet knife to cut fishing line? I immediately thought of my buddies with expensive boats who have all the fancy electronics, seeing them using grandma's fingernail clippers to cut fishing line. I thought about my actually front tooth that I've chipped twice, biting 20-pound test fluorocarbon. And all of these things came crashing in on my brain. And I said, and here I apologize for saying this, there's got to be a better way. So that's the aha moment.
It's kind of the standard aha moment, right? There's got to be a better way.
It's got to be a better way.
Yours was maybe a little bit more, came with a little bit more physical pain than others that we've heard, I have to say.
But again, that's how a lot of ideas that are successful happen, is because you think about, like we call it pain points. What's the pain point of, where's a product, what product can fix the pain point? The pain point in the fishing industry, as obvious as it is cutting fishing line fast, safe, and conveniently. So to fast forward, I thought about it the whole way home, systematically thought, where can I put a cutter on my body that doesn't pull my shorts off, that's not hanging on my neck, that I can quickly grab, that won't cut my skin, So then I got some JB Weld at Home Depot, broke apart a dental floss cutter and took that little cutting thing, that little like thing that sticks up, put that in some JB Weld, made a ring out of it because no other body part made sense, and then made my prototype, put it on my finger, cut my first piece of fishing line, and then I'm like, holy crap, like I still get goosebumps talking about it. Like I think this is a 1,000,000 unit sale product that could get on Shark. I literally said that. Like I think this could make it on Shark Tank, like at that moment. So that's how it started.
So you immediately were like, yeah, I'm onto something here? Or did it take a little time whenever you started talking to some of your fishing buddies about it? Like, when did you feel like, oh, I'm definitely on something here?
Literally the second I cut 10-pound mono with my finger, I made a loop. That ugly, disgusting ring that I made that was actually on the TV show Shark Tank, the one I held up is the actual first prototype. And I literally made that cutting motion and cut line. And I thought about not looking for a knife, not using my teeth, not misplacing it, not rusting, cutting 100-pound braid while I'm sharp, like all of these things that it fixed, all these pain points. And I knew literally at that moment, or at least I believed, that it would be a really successful product.
Well, it seems that you were right for starters. But so you make that first cut and all your teeth are intact and you're like, all right, cool. What do I do now? So where did you go from there?
Yeah, I'm thinking like prototypes are cool. I mean, prototypes are hard for me. Like I've told guests on the show, I've talked to Kyle about it. I've had an idea for a wine cork for a long time, haven't done anything with it because prototypes are hard for me. But even past the prototype stage, like, okay, now do you like take this ring that you've made to like, that's the question. Where do I take it? Who would manufacture this for me? How do you even approach a manufacturer, et cetera? So like, what was step two?
So part of step two is really analyzing like what you're going to do with the product. So for me, I literally was at a point in my life. I'd been at my job, not the mortgage industry, a different job for 10 years. It's 30 something years old. And for me, it was an opportunity to start a career in my dream industry. So, if you come up with an idea, part of step one is or step two is analyzing, is this going to be a hobby? Do I want this to be a career? Do I want to start a company? Do I want to license it? It's just like how passionate am I and how committed am I to making this product work? Everybody comes up with inventions all the time. The problem is they don't pursue it. It sits on the back of their mind and they don't have the kahunas, the drive, the tenacity, the fearlessness, sometimes the stupidity to chase this dream, right? So I looked at it and I said, okay. So I analyzed and I said, I don't care if I make money, if I fail, I'm literally going for this as my career, I want this to be my income. And, so I had to actually pitch the idea to my wife. Let's sell everything. I can get on Shark Tank. I will support our family. Just believe in me. So my first pitch wasn't to the sharks. It was to my wife. She saw this crazy look in my eye when she tells the story. And she's like, I've never seen you look like that. I'm willing to sell everything, which is what we ended up doing. And then to answer your question, then it was kind of like the end of step two was, okay, I got the idea. I'm willing to quit my job. I'm willing to go all in. We're willing to sell everything to fund it. Now, how do I actually bring this product to market? And that step is literally every single thing you could ever want to know about anything. 13 years ago, now we have AI. But let's back up to when I was doing every single thing you could ever want to know. It can be answered within minutes on the internet, literally. And that's another thing people just do not understand. They're not fearless or stupid or energized or passionate about literally just going for it. Like just do it, just go for it. So you look up, how do I start a business? And I'd started a business before programming remotes in a previous life, but how do I prototype? Where do I find a prototype? What is a patent? What's a non-provisional patent? And you're literally just spending hours and hours answering your questions. I didn't have anybody as a mentor at that time. So you just learn and learn and learn and that's how you really get started if you don't know anybody. And then if you want, I can get into like the process, but that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, we would definitely love to hear about the process, but kind of to speak to what you're talking about there, I feel like we hear a lot of for people who haven't done it yet. There's kind of an analysis paralysis of like, I want to push the exact right button, I want to pull the exact right lever instead of just getting out there and doing it, because I think that people are inherently afraid of over leveraging themselves financially or wasting their time, because time is at a premium for a lot of people. So did you have, kind of a bit of a mental block when it came to that, or were you just ready to get after it? Because I mean, probably after you sold your most difficult customer, your wife, it was like, all right, game on, here we go, let's go.
Yeah, so I am extremely passionate about fishing. I'm extremely passionate about the fact that our lives are so short, and whether you believe in heaven, hell, the sun god, all of whatever your belief system is, I'm not aware in the 300 plus religions, I'm not aware of any religion that says you get to relive your life holding the same memories in the same body that you're in, right? So the way I perceive life is no matter what happens, I'm not aware of anybody that gets where I can remember my first life in the same body, mind, and soul. So I look at it like I have one shot at this life, one shot, and that's it. And fishing has been very important to me. It's my passion. So I basically looked at it like I don't care what it takes. I don't care what it costs. I don't care if I go broke. I'm doing everything and I will figure out a way to make this happen. If it doesn't bring in money, I'll get a second job, but this is everything and that's all I'm going to focus on.
That's awesome. And I think that mentality is really what sets apart the successful entrepreneurs from the ones who end up going back to corporate America or wherever, because like you said, the people that are stupid enough or just have enough stupidity in them to believe that maybe I'm onto something are typically the ones that you see, making it on Shark Tank or running successful businesses or making millions of dollars, etc. So kudos for that, man. Like, just digging in and saying I'm onto something and let's see where it goes.
I would almost say it's not stupid. I mean, it may be naive because there's a lot you don't know, but there does come a point where if you really want to get it going, your ambition kind of has to put your fears in check, right?
Yeah, I use the word stupid because I like to keep things real, like real. Like in the entrepreneurial world, a lot of times you hear the fluff, like, oh, never give up, and like honestly, with two daughters and a wife in my 30s, selling everything we have with young kids at home and trying to start a business with a ring that you wear on a finger that cuts fishing line. Somebody that's a good planner, a financial analyst would say that's not really a smart decision. That's really risky. So from a risk standpoint, it was maybe not the right decision to make. So that's why I say stupid. It just puts things like it's real, like, but that sometimes is what it really takes to, I mean, you read the story about Pinterest, the founders of Pinterest. You read the story about Elon Musk. You read the story about Mark Cuban with a hole in the bottom of his car. Like those people, you would say at the point, if you looked at before they were successful, like, dude, you're stupid. Give up the dream. Like you're living in a car with nothing. It's not smart to keep going down this path. So I think it takes a little bit of craziness or not looking at the analytics and ignoring the analytics to just see it through, if that makes sense.
And I love that you said that you had a wife and two kids, because I think a lot of people probably are in that demographic, maybe low 30s, mid 30s, got a wife and a family, or a husband and a family, whatever. And I don't want to risk the life that we have for a dream that may or may not turn into something. And the fact that you did that, I think, is very inspiring. And I think it proves that you can do it at any age, in any life circumstance. Like, it doesn't matter that, like, you're not too far gone or too far down a certain path. You can still make something happen if you want to make something happen.
Yeah, and I think there's two key points to that craziness is really, it's very, I can't stress, and Mark Cuban, when you listen to Shark Tank, Mark is the most vocal shark about calling people out if he doesn't believe they're passionate. Like, if he doesn't see, like, dude, these people are all in, he'll actually, he's the one that regularly comments, like, I just don't know how dedicated or committed you are. So I think if I didn't have such a passion for fishing, and ultimately you really, it has to be, in my opinion, it's going to dramatically increase your odds if you're extremely passionate about the product, the software, the whatever your product is, the service you're providing, because for knowledge, for me to know how anglers cut fishing line, men and women, and where they're using it and different types of fishing, like, that played a crucial role in our patent. I have 6 patents now, 1 pending. That played a crucial role in developing products because I'm very passionate and knowledgeable in the fishing industry. Secondly, the amount of hours that I've put into this business, if I wasn't passionate about it, I would have burnt out in the first year. Absolutely. There's no possible way my mind could have handled what I went through. And being passionate about fishing and seeing the opportunity to actually be in the fishing industry, own my own business, that passion is very important to that.
And I'll back you up on that. I think, give me a second to gather my thoughts. I think when your job, you know what? I'm going to move past this because that thought, I had a good thought and it's gone. It's escaped me. So we'll just edit this out and we'll move on.
This is why we edit. This is why we edit. We love to do it in one fell swoop, but it doesn't always work that way.
Okay. It's frustrating, but we'll move on.
So, no, it's fine. So, really, one big thing that we were kind of transitioning into, and I may have diverted us a little bit, and I apologize, was your process from, okay, you've convinced your wife, you've got your prototype, and now maybe kind of walk us through the evolution of prototype to Shark Tank, because we'll touch on that, and I'm sure there's an evolutionary change that happened after that point.
Yeah, and also, how did you go about approaching manufacturers to ultimately get this past, some homemade product and some floss cutting that you made at home?
Yep. So great question. So again, I literally jumped after that prototype, and then we'll skip to now. Let's start making stuff happen. So I was still dealing with a fairly limited budget, and I remember getting on Google and looking up how to build products, how to bring a product to market, just like if zero. I knew zero, and it's like, okay, find a design firm. So then I'm like, okay, search local design firms, find names, jump on Yelp to see if there are Yelp reviews, which are predominantly restaurant based. So then I tried looking at Google reviews, thought I found some decent ones, the classic vetting out, right? You go to a restaurant, you look for a good restaurant with good reviews. It's the same thing with a design firm. And then I called design firms and said, hey, I have a product I want to get developed. And I remember calling an Austin firm and it was $250,000 for my line cutters ring to get into a design package. And I was like, holy crap. Like, dude, there's no way. Like, no way. So then I called a few more. They were like 80 grand and this and that. So then I'm like, okay, this is not what I anticipated. How else can I try and get something going? So then I read somewhere that you can approach your local college, and then to somebody who said, "Hey, you want to make sure you sign an NDA, but go to the professor and see in their engineering firm, field or department if there's any students that would be willing to help you." So I went and met a guy named Prasad out of Arizona State University and talked to him and said, "Hey, I have a cool product that I think is going to be successful. Would any of your students be interested in helping me out? I would just need you to sign an NDA." And he signed it. Then he posted it on their little digital internal thing, found a guy, and he kind of helped me. And it was like, I don't know, maybe I think I ended up paying a total of $800 for like 5 or 6 different stages of prototypes.
That's a bit different than 80,000 or 250,000.
Yep.
That'll do.
Yeah. So then, I start seeing this product coming kind of, into more of the right, actually something where I could present it or, whatever. So I get that done, and then I get real excited. And that's when my wife and I sold our house and my boat, my gun collection, literally everything we had. Ended up profiting, I think it was about $130,000, and moved into my parents' basement, which, side note, very important to have somebody as a support staff, whether it's friend, family, cousin, nephew, high school, whatever. My parents played a pivotal role in allowing us to move into the basement of the house I grew up in, going to high school with our family. And then I used the cash, found a design firm out of California, was able to show them some basic drawings, some CAD drawings and the rough prototype. Ended up going out to California to meet them, and then did a ton of research on this firm and found out that this design firm actually could work with factories to be the liaison for purchasing products. And the reason why that was a very smart move looking back is if the design firm that I worked with didn't have a manufacturing relationship, they wouldn't have leverage on the factory. And what I mean by that is not, overseas typically is known for knocking products off, right? So by going through this design firm and having the design firm's factory, I knew I was paying more, but that factory would be less willing to knock my idea off, because the design firm would say, well, our millions and millions of dollars that we send you, if you knock off one of our clients, we're moving and you're going to lose millions and millions of dollars in business. So by working with this design firm and getting my products through them, the design firm played a critical role in the quality control. I knew the design firm had leverage on the factory to not knock my idea off. And then they would play an integral role on if something went bad and there was a problem with the product, they could send it back to the factory. Back then, $20,000, that I'm out of business. If I spend $20,000 on line cutters rings and the blade doesn't cut, if I'm dealing with the overseas factory directly, what am I going to do? Send an attorney over there and sue them in China or Taiwan? So anybody starting off, if you can find a design firm that's affordable, that has good credentials, and that can be your liaison to the factory, it's going to help protect you from an intellectual property standpoint. It's going to play a crucial role in your quality control. Yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more because they're making a cut, but that was something looking back that really helped me out.
So how long then did it take you? You had your prototype. You sold your house. You sold your guns. You sold your boat. You sold everything. You're living in your parents' basement. How long before you had a viable product that could then be found on shelves or on Amazon or wherever you sold it?
So the business was formed in April of 2014. My first product sale was February of 2015. So I was able to move pretty quickly. I started with 5,000 units, which when I first saw the bill, I can't remember, it was like $20,000 or 15,000 or something, plus like 20,000 in tooling or something. I'm like, those numbers. Now we make orders 100,000, 150,000, but back then that 20,000 invoice, I mean, my mind couldn't even fathom that number. Even making a decent amount of money on the house, like when you're sending a wire for that, my brain just wasn't used to numbers like that. It was extremely nerve-wracking, sleepless nights, but the first sale, I'll never forget it. We still have it up on my wall. A friend of mine who went to University of Texas posted in it's called the Bevo group, that it's like an alumni group. And he posted and said, "Hey, my buddy just launched a fishing ring that you wear on your finger that cuts fishing line. It just went live on his website tonight." And I didn't know he did that. And I got the notification back in the day we were using Big Cartel. And that order came in and I lost my mind. My wife and I were like jumping up and down. I think we went and got a bottle of wine and we just were like, if this fails, like to be able to do what we've gone through and the stresses, and somebody actually was willing to get on their computer and enter their credit card and buy a product that I invented and my wife helped me with the website, was the most incredible feeling in the entire world. That turned into almost selling out the first 5,000 right away, and then pitched the idea to Shark Tank, and then it just, that aired to 10 million people, and then that really gave us a boost. And then 2018 got on The View, and then bought some real estate, opened a retail store. We're opening our second now, and it's been just since then. It was like putting rocket boosters on.
So I do need to know, how long were you at your parents' house in their basement?
It was about a year and a half, I believe. Okay, here's how Shark Tank works. I presented the idea at a cold, wait, no. So I made a video. It's on YouTube. It's hilarious. I dressed up as each shark, including Barbara, wore a dress. So I dressed up as each shark up against a green screen. My Kickstarter video guy, we did a Kickstarter campaign to raise some money for the tooling for the ring. My Kickstarter video guy helped me make this Shark Tank Saturday Night Live spoof type of thing, where I pitched to each one of the sharks that I dressed up as. So I made this funny video. Like I said, it's on YouTube. And then I got a giant box of 100 grand candy bars. Huge box. I think I spent like $150 on 100 grand candy bars. I put the video on a thumb drive and I said, if you want to make money, watch this immediately. And that was my application. I got a call back. I won't get into it's really cool story, but anyway, I was called for an interview. I still have the message from the guy saved on my phone. And then I missed the call and tried calling back. And 7 months went by, and every time the phone would ring on a number I didn't recognize, I expected this has to be them. So finally, I kind of I don't know what happened. Somehow they lost my info or whatever. So I ended up doing a cold pitch in Dallas. Literally left the middle of a trade show when I found out a buddy of mine was going to pitch, and I said, "Hey, I want to go pitch in front of people." So I slept on the floor of his Airbnb in Dallas, pitched with 700 other businesses, while I was there, Clay, one of the head producers, I just said, dude, I just got to ask you, do you remember getting a bunch of 100 grand candy bars? And no joke, he said, holy shit, that was you. And I said, yeah. I go, did you guys eat them? He goes, yeah, we ate them. And I'm like, I never got a call back. And he said, well, the producer that was working, I guess they turned producers over, or the pre-screeners went on to another movie set or something. And then they just, there's so many applications, they just lost track. But anyway, that's how I ended up getting onto the show. So yeah, that's just kind of a fun story. But we were there in my parents' house about 1.5 years. When I found out about Shark Tank, go ahead.
I was going to say, before we go any further, I can't decide what I'm more impressed by. That you moved back in with your parents, that you sold your boat as an angler, or because you dressed as Barbara Corcoran. I don't know which is the most impressive.
Dude, that dress was really comfortable. It was like this silky material, and the air just blew up the bottom. I mean, I was completely ventilated. It was pretty amazing. I hate to admit it.
Man. Hilarious. I asked about your how long you were with your parents because thinking I lived with my in-laws for a couple of months while renovating our house, and I know what that's like. Maybe from your wife's perspective to live with your in-laws, and maybe how stressful it can be to live under somebody else's roof, especially when it's not even your parents. So kudos to you and your wife for letting all that happen and for really grinding when you had to get this thing off the ground. I think that's awesome. Hey, you segued it was a pretty good segue into Shark Tank. So let's touch base just for a few minutes on Shark Tank, because I mean, being on Shark Tank has to be a pretty cool experience, right? So let's maybe ask a couple of fun questions. Who would you say you were most intimidated by on the show?
God, you know what? I had been such a watcher and connoisseur of that show that I almost felt like I already had a relationship with them. It sounds bizarre, but personality wise, and I just wasn't. I was nervous to my pitch because I at the time I didn't like speaking, in front of people. So I was really nervous about forgetting my pitch. But when it comes to there was even Mr. Wonderful, zero intimidation at all.
I mean, it sounds like you were probably pretty confident in your product and in yourself at that point. You knew you were onto something, and so anything they could say probably wouldn't deter you from knowing what you have.
Yeah, so I just slept on the floor. I just slept on the floor of an Airbnb. So let's do this.
Yeah. So I guess, was it hard to kind of make I think if I remember right, you kind of were talked down, you had evaluation and Damon talked you down and kind of stood his ground a little bit. So how challenging was it to sort of make an on-the-fly decision, to get talked down, to get lowballed a little bit on your valuation in order to partner with somebody who you knew was going to help grow your business?
Well, so there's people out there that think it's staged and all that. And I can tell you that your pitch is as real as it gets. You've never seen the Sharks before. You've been coached on your pitch, it needs to be cut down or whatever. But when you're there and you're pitching, it's as real as it gets. And a really side story, I'm kind of not answering the question directly, but after you leave, at least this is back in 2016, and you go back to your little trailer, they actually send a psychologist to clear you that you're of sound mind and body before leaving. And it sounds bizarre, but I say that because, I do a lot of expos and people will say, oh, is that staged and all that? And I tell them that, and I'm like, due to what's happened in previous seasons, people potentially hurting themselves, if you know what I mean. That's how real it is. So yeah, I just thought that'd be an interesting thing to share, and regarding that whole Shark Tank experience.
Wow. I mean, that is one way to cover your liability, I suppose. Wow. Exactly.
I mean, you're in Sony Studios, in LA, And some people like me gave everything they had, and then you lose that opportunity where you think, okay, this is what's going to get me through before I go out of business. I mean, with kids, and I mean,
I get it. I
deal.
mean, you're putting everything on the line for this one pitch, and if it doesn't go to plan, that could be devastating. So yeah, I guess I get it. I didn't know that. I never thought of that, but I hearing it from you, I understand.
Yeah.
So obviously we don't want to make our conversation Shark Tank centric, but I'm sure that you saw a boost in sales because of that. But can you kind of maybe walk us through maybe some other developments that you saw after the Shark Tank episode? Like you maybe made some new connections with other people because of that, maybe outside of Damon, or just kind of talk us through maybe some other experiences you had because of it.
Yeah. So just so when I did the pitch, there was some pretty awesome drama during our pitch, and at the end of the day, they want a different product that nobody's seen, and they want it to be entertaining. At the end of the day, it's TV, even though your pitch is real. So we got put on the fast track, and instead of airing like the following year, because Shark Tank, the whole season is recorded in 2 weeks, 2 1-week increments. They put us on the fast track to airing. You're typically not supposed to know when you air. They don't tell you until 2 weeks before the air date. Luckily, we got what they call a home package, where they sent out 5 or 6 people to my parents' house, filmed 10 hours of video for 90 seconds of me kissing my wife and brushing our teeth and loading a trailer. Like that was staged. That's called a home package. So anyway, we had some really good luck on our side. Now to answer your question directly, so when our episode aired in November 19th of 2016, that was prime shopping time. In addition to that, we had a home package where they featured us, where they show the home and give you a little bit of extra backstory that gets people to really kind of want to support you. And our product was at a low price point and the most epic stocking stuffer of all time. So when it aired to 10 million people during the holiday at an affordable price point, and people kind of liked the family story, giving it, risking it all, chasing the American dream, we sold a minimum of 1 order every minute. Minimum. Most minutes right away were 10 to 20 orders. A minimum of 1 order per minute, 24 hours a day, for a total of 72 hours. So an order came in every single minute for 72 hours, at least 1 order.
So did you guys celebrate by getting a really big bottle of wine that night?
I celebrated by panicking the you-know-what out and recruiting some of my high school friends to come over and pack orders frantically. They had to send one of the UPS semi trucks to pick up our orders. And it was really fun when my phone was sitting there dinging every time a sale came in, and I could hardly talk on the phone. So I had to turn my notifications off, and then shit got real. And, it was like, okay, we just had this great opportunity. I don't want to upset a bunch of people by not getting their orders out quickly. It was wild.
I'm just trying to imagine just watching like refresh, just seeing the orders come in and feeling like you're living a dream because it's what you've dreamed about for so long, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've got a buddy that we've actually have interviewed on the show as well. And in his early days, he used to he would give away a book, and then after you like filled out your address, before he would send it to you, he would offer you a course that was like $20 or something. And I remember being at his house, and he'd be like, "Oh, somebody just got the book," and then he'd like wait for it, ding, and then they just bought my course. So it was pretty cool to watch him just like in a 3 or 4 hour, hangout session with him. His phone would ding 5 or 6 times, and he'd be like, "Oh, I just made $40. Oh, I just made $60." But to do that every minute for 3 days is
24 hours a day, like
another
so
level.
1 a.m. to, yeah.
Just turn the phone off. I gotta I'll check back in a couple hours. That
I'm
sounds
also
really
imagining
nice.
I'm imagining you saying, all right, this next boat I get is going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten a boat yet. We keep reinvesting. So
I imagine, that's got to be challenging because you're thriving, you're doing well, and you're like, I want to grow this. I want to grow this business as much, but I also want like a little bit of my life back. I want the house back. I want the boat back. I want my guns back. So I imagine like is there sort of a push and pull there of like, how much do I reinvest versus how much do I enjoy?
yeah, so investing into the commercial properties was kind of a strategic thing. I chose that over the boat. Now we have tenants, and that helps pay our retail store. I got the houses better than, yeah, very happy with that. Got the guns back. The boat, I got into kayak fishing kind of by accident, and just fell in love with that. And that's kind of what I do now. It's just more relaxing for me. But I have had my eye on a boat, and I plan to get there someday. Just there's a lot of work to do. We're getting into the automotive industry, which is really exciting. I have a patent pending product that is going to be launched here really soon in the probably next month. And, the fishing industry is a $26 billion industry, which is microscopic in the grand scheme of things. The automobile industry is 3 trillion. So there's 286 million registered vehicles. If I can get 1 million of those 286 million registered vehicles to put the best seatbelt cutter and automatic window breaker in their car for peace of mind alone, that's $25 million in sales from that one product. And that I've publicly said we will sell 1 million of these units. Like, I'm guaranteeing it. Because I put that out publicly, because then I really have to hold myself accountable to that claim. So that's our next product. We got into the sewing industry under a DBA called thread cutters. So ladies that crochet, knit, sew, using our ring while they're sewing on airplanes or at schools, prisons, has been big. We got into the scuba diving industry. Our ring can cut tangled fishing line off of your scuba tank rather than pulling a boot knife out and trying to cut near your air hoses isn't safe. So you can reach back and cut your line out. That was a surprise industry. And now GE Aerospace is buying our products. We still don't know why. They're buying them. I don't know why. Louis Vuitton factory, they do hand sewing Louis Vuitton purses. They're using them. Our products are shipped on Striker's ice fishing jackets. They buy 60,000 a year and ship them on the jacket. It's a zipper pull cutter. So, there's a lot of these industries that we're getting into, and the goal is really, my vision is to be the Yeti coolers of cutting solutions, to where if you want to cut something, like line cutters, whether it's a seatbelt, a specimen bag in a medical lab, fishing line, yarn. Anyway, so that's where we go. And then I want to exit and then stay on as the product developer. I want to keep my team on. That's when I want to essentially retire. And like you said, don't you want to live a little too?
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Did you even imagine that it would turn into this? I mean, you started with a little homemade prototype. Could you have even imagined what it has turned into at the time?
No, not possible. Not even possible to even think about cutting anything other than fishing line. That's all I cared about. That's all I wanted to do. And, it just happens to be that the patents we hold just happen to cut other stuff, I mean, I never thought it would cut a seatbelt, and now we have, when you got to watch it. When you see it cut a seatbelt, you'll literally fall over. It's insane.
Are you already selling this, or have I seen this? I feel like you said cut the seatbelt and break a window, and that rings a bell for me. Have I seen a video or something that's out there?
So there's a lot of cutters that cut seatbelts. There's a lot of window breakers that break windows. The way we cut stuff, it's patented. It's a curved blade, and there's a curve the opposite direction on the bottom of the device, and it creates like a channel, and that's really like the magic on our cutting. So I can confidently say there's not a cutter out there that cuts as well. And then ours clips to a visor in your car, so it's right next to your garage door opener. And it's got an auto punch to bust your window. So the hammers you see, they could be flopping around your car. People put them in their glove box. So it's just a better, smarter, more effective way to get yourself out of a vehicle. God forbid something happens.
I'll tell you, I'll be a customer for you on that. So you've only got 999,000 to go.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
999,999.
People, they get it. They get it. I promise. I promise.
Just wanted to,
Yeah. So, I mean, between that and a collab with Louis Vuitton, I bet you never really anticipated that whenever you were first getting started out.
And they don't order a ton, but just, it's just crazy. Like, these people hand sewing bags, they're like, and there's a bunch of brands. There's a commercial sewing machine manufacturer that ships our cutter on them. There's the automatic spooling stations you see in the fishing shops by Triangle Sports. When you get your fishing reel spooled on those big machines, they're using our cutter. They ship the $3,000 and $5,000 machines with our cutter on it. There's a bunch like that. It's pretty neat.
That's so crazy to me that, I'm envisioning, you're always told to choose an avatar, right? When you're creating a product or a business or a service, like who's your avatar, which is your ideal customer. And so I'm sure for you, that was like a fishing bro, like one of my bros who's like out fishing on a boat or at the lake and needs a cutting solution. And so the fact that it's transpired into now you're selling to like ladies who are sewing Louis Vuitton bags and selling luxury handbags to women all over it's nuts to me. That's why I asked, like, could you have even imagined that it would turn into this? It's expanded like beyond what I would consider my wildest dreams. So I can't imagine.
The fishing crochet crossover was not predicted on the idea board.
The funniest thing is there's a lot of women fish today, which is awesome. It's not that egotistical male driven industry now is much more open and welcoming to these, female anglers, as it should be. And vice versa. There's more men sewing and knitting and cross stitching and all that. I'm not really a quilter or a crocheter yet. When I had these ladies who fished that were like, holy crap, I used my ring when I was on the plane to cut my knitting yarn, like, do you know how well this works for thread and yarn? I started getting these messages, and at first I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then I'm like, oh, wow, I'm hearing the same story. There's a great opportunity. So we got the DBA trademark thread cutters. It's really, you check out the website. It's definitely got a more female, demographically attractive logo and stuff. So then I'm actually doing trade shows at quilting shows. And I don't mean to sound stereotypical, but this is the God's honest truth. And these ladies are pinching my cheek as I'm selling them. Oh, you're so cute. What a great idea. Like literally. And then I didn't want my friends, my buddies to know that I'm slinging rings at a quilting show, I thought it made my product not as cool, and now I'm very proud, and I'm like, but at first I was almost like, I don't want this to get out,
Yeah, I can't even imagine like what you're like probably standing there stupefied in that moment. Like, how did I get here? So obviously you talked about the things that you're ambitious for coming forward, and obviously we're excited to hear and see more about that as it develops. But we also want to give you the opportunity to plug what you're doing currently. Like, where can people learn about your current available products, follow you on social, things like that?
Yep. So we have our website, linecutterswithaz.com. We're on Amazon in 12 countries, which is pretty cool. We're in some big box retailers. Please, anybody watching, please help us out on TikTok. We just started pushing that hard. Instagram, decent following. I think we're close to 70,000 followers, almost 40,000 on Facebook. So please like and follow there. And if you know anybody that likes to fish, scuba dive or any of those markets we talked about, please spread the word. And then just kind of one last parting words here. If you are passionate about selling chocolates, as say you love chocolate or you love to sleep, because I speak at these schools to these kids. I spoke at Lincoln, Nebraska, and these kids that I talk to, I'll say, you can do and be successful as an entrepreneur in literally any aspect. And these little smart aleck kids will challenge me, dude, I love playing video games. And do you know that someone right now is making millions of dollars on Twitch and they're sponsored? People literally give them tens of thousands of dollars a year and their eyes light up. And then somebody's like, yeah, I just like to sleep all day. And I'll say, do you know that you could start your own sleep business and invent products and test them on yourself and get paid to do it? And it just, opens their mind. So parting words, life is short. If you're literally going to work, punching the clock, and every day looks the same, and you're just in the trap of paying your bills and going to a job that you do not love, I beg you to step outside of the box and look at how precious life and short life is. And I don't care if you work for somebody, go into an industry that you care about and that excites you, because you do not get another chance. And you're welcome to reach out to me if you need help with the product. I'll help you for free. I'll tell you how to get a product off the ground, whatever. I just want people to do what they enjoy doing.
Amazing. Well, look out for an email from me in the near future.
Dude, I'm here for you, brother.
That's so good, though.
I will say we got one more question for you, but before we get there, I will say I'm always struggling for stocking stuffers or gifts for my father-in-law, who's a big fisherman. We always just give him a gift card to Bass Pro. Like, that's the go-to. So I think I've got a good one for him this year. I think I might have to visit your website and snag a couple of products from you. So I'm excited for that.
I've got friends that run down to South Padre Island, and that's gonna happen too.
That'll be a big hit.
Dual hybrid micro scissors won an award at ICAST, and we just got named best tool by Outdoor Canada. I promise that's the one to get. They'll be very happy.
Will do. And I love your advice too. I think Gary Vee has said something about, to the same vein that, like, hey man, whatever you love doing, even if it's like considered lazy, like, think about how can you monetize that? How can you turn that into a business? How can you turn that into a podcast? How can you turn that into a video stream, etc.? Like, there are monetization opportunities everywhere you look. So I love that advice. And I think, people should take that to heart, and not consider what they do as necessarily lazy, but how can I turn what I love, even if it's sleeping, into something?
Yeah. And what scares me more about anything, what literally gives me like night terrors, is if I would not have taken the chance to do and go for it. Like, that terrifies me. Hoop netting lobster in Catalina Island, kayak fishing West Coast, catching marlin, like all of these amazing opportunities and life experiences. Like, it scares me to think if I just would have stuck in that 9 to 5, like, look at what I would have missed, so that should scare you more than anything, is not taking the chance.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Well, hey, we got one more question for you. We do at the end of our show, we do like a listener question. So full disclosure, we have not launched yet, so we don't really have listeners. So we tend to either make up our own questions or ask our wives or our friends for questions. So I think Kyle's got one for you today.
Yeah, this one's after the good advice you gave. This one's actually lighthearted, so we can end on a lighthearted note. What is your favorite fish that you've caught, or what is one fish that's always eluded you?
Best fish ever is definitely a tarpon, and I've got actually one tattooed on my arm. That's the best, most exciting fish I've caught for sure, and definitely the fish.
Have
Is
you
there a
had
Moby
one that
Dick
you've
for
been,
you?
I was gonna say, have you had one you've been aiming for forever and you just can't get it?
Um, I would probably there's actually probably the number one fish would be a rooster fish. I actually flew out to David, Panama, went on a fancy boat and cast until my arm fell off, and literally spent all this money and time and energy, and still haven't caught a rooster fish. So that's the fish that's eluded me.
I just pulled it up. That's a pretty gnarly looking fish.
Dude,
That's
they're
got to be
awesome.
so frustrating.
Yeah.
I can't
imagine.
imagine, but I do want to see on socials when you catch it, or even send it to us. Like send us a picture because I want to see when you bag it.
When you
Or
finally get it.
when you catch it and release it, I should say. You are an advocate of that. So
Yes.
Awesome. Hey, Vance, thanks so much for being with us today. Lots of great advice. I can't wait to share it with the world. So we really appreciate having you on the show.
we appreciate you.
Honored to be on your show, fellas. Congrats on your podcast and the success you guys have had. And I look forward to watching you guys grow.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.
Hey, stick around for just